right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It is Phil Nagy and Kit Nagy on Sports joining you here with an absolutely super fun activity, hopefully, which is in the season of mock drafts. We're actually going to mock, and even more than mock, put real guys on real teams, including the Browns, of course, but everybody in the first round. We're going to give you some input into it as well as you pop on, and we will be keeping tabs on the chat. So before we get started, Kit, how are we doing tonight?
Doing great. Excited for this. And as you know, always excited for draft season, and good time to be getting involved in all this, getting our hands dirty, and take a look and see what we can't see here for the NFL draft and what might happen.
Absolutely. Welcome, George. Go Browns, indeed. All right, so a little bit about how this will work is, at least for the first round, we will do every pick and solicit your feedback. I will manually pick whichever anybody wants. Is that my computer talking to me? Weird.
I think so. I didn't hear anything.
Sorry, one of my mock drafts started talking to me. One of the ads started talking to me. That was super weird. Okay. All right. So we are excited to bring this one to you. Again, a little bit about how it will work is we'll go through kind of team by team here. We'll solicit your feedback. We'll look at a couple of mocks. I've got PFF's latest mock-up. I've got McShay's latest mock-up and Daniel Jeremiah's latest mock as well. So we'll kind of consult those. Consult the Oracle, get your feedback, and then we'll make the pick. And then Kit will read a little bit about the player that does get selected, and then we'll move on to the next one. So without further ado, let's get this one popping. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. Kit, they need a lot of holes filled for Doug Peterson. Which direction you like here?
They need a lot here. They just last year drafted Trevor Lawrence, which, obviously you got to protect a guy like that if you want him to succeed. He struggled a lot from the protection, so you could obviously go offensive line here. But you got a lot of needs across that football team, so there are a lot of things that you could do here. Obviously first pick certainly helps, and the fact you don't need to spend it on a quarterback helps as well, and especially in a draft year where the quarterback class is weak.
Correct. No, indeed. So PFF has Charles Cross, the tackle out of Mississippi State, who has risen to the tops of the charts. McShay has Evan Neal, the tackle from Alabama, and Daniel Jeremiah also has Evan Neal, the tackle from Alabama. George, any input on this pick from you since you're in the chat with us right now? Moan Frere. If we take a look at the individual tackles here rated, Evan Neal is rated the top left tackle. Charles Cross technically rated the top right tackle, although you can shift those back and forth. Going once, going twice. Any ideas, George? What do you think, Kit? You want to go Neal or Cross? It seems like tackle is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, no, I think they do want to go tackle here. So, if it were me on this spot, I'd probably go with Neal. But that's just a guess based on pedigree out of Alabama there for Neal, and then he is an awfully good player too.
All right. Don't need to overdo it. Here we go. Evan Neal, the number one pick from Alabama, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pick is in. Pick is made. It's not even giving us his overall on this page. We're going to have to wait.
Interesting.
Weird. They changed the whole drafting scouting widget. All right, Kit, tell us a little bit about Evan Neal while I go get the Detroit Lions ready.
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, he's an offensive tackle out of Alabama, 6'6", 360 estimated. He is a big boy, former five-star recruit, and definitely has went to succeed there. Made the transition from right tackle to left tackle successfully there at Alabama. So he's kind of seen both sides. Has the potential to play on both sides of your line as you need. Basically, what they're saying about him here, and by the way, I'm on the draft network where they've got a number of different scouts that they rate these guys. But But they're talking about great linear movement, but struggles to redirect laterally due to balance issues. So it sounds like balance is probably going to be his biggest problem. But he is big and tough, and he's got the ideal length. It's one of his best assets here, which of course is really important. Getting at the tackle position, keeping those edge rushers off of your body with that length and that punch is a big part of the game. Definitely a versatile player out of Alabama, playing both right and left tackle, and that's a big reason why he's so high in this draft.
The Detroit Lions, probably a classic example of best player available, as they too have lots of holes to fill. Todd McShay says Aiden Hutchinson, the D end out of Michigan, as does Daniel Jeremiah, and PFF says Derek Stingley, the cornerback, of course, who is just an absolute superstar as a freshman, and has had a little bit of injury issues and has yet to return back to that form, but he was a can't miss, one of those like, oh, he could play right out of high school kind of guys. So to me, it feels pretty obvious. You get the local guy from Michigan, comes in, immediately affects your pass rush. Kit, you have any thoughts on this? George, you have any thoughts on Detroit at number 2?
Yeah, no, I think Hutchinson out of Michigan is a good fit for that defense. They definitely need that, and talk about a guy with a motor. We saw him a lot play against the Buckeyes. He was always a terror, and somebody you had to watch out for at 6'5", 270. Dude is definitely a bit of a monster.
Absolutely, George agrees with it too. So we will select Aiden Hutchinson, number 2, from Michigan, going to the hometown Detroit Lions. That puts the Houston Texans on the clock.
Yeah, and Krabs off the NFL Net or the Draft Network says that he's the prototype edge rusher, just what you want when you're looking to build that 4-3 defense. Has a lot of tools for a dominant player, so kind of similar to guys that we have seen before, come both out of Michigan and out of Ohio State. Kind of that dominant edge personality with the moves, multiple moves to their advantage, capable of multiple fronts, blitz heavy schemes, several alignments. So kind of that versatile piece that you can move around on your line. And, as I already mentioned, he definitely has the size and length to be able to do all of that at 6'5", 270. So he is definitely kind of that Swiss Army knife on the edge rush that you can do a lot of things with. He's got good run defending and gap scheme, as we saw against playing against the Buckeyes. And then definitely can get to the quarterback when you need him to be. He can fill the role, is what they're saying here.
Awesome, absolutely. All right, Houston Texans. Even though I made him just a short week or so ago, I had forgotten that Lovie Smith is their coach. They have no idea what they are doing down there. Similarly, lots of holes to fill. McShay has them taking Kyle Hamilton, who's kind of the best safety by far on the board, and then it's a pretty big gap from Notre Dame. Also number 3, so Jeremiah and McShay have been lined up so far. And then PFF had them taking Hutchinson, of course, because they had Stingley going in the first pick. So any strong leans here for the Texans with Lovie Smith, obviously defensive coach. You got Kayvon Thibodeau there, of course, the electric pass rusher out of Oregon. Or do you go with Kyle Hamilton, maybe lock up the back end of that secondary?
Well, yeah, I think you definitely stick on the defensive side with Lovie Smith there. It's a bit of a crapshoot here, I would say, in terms of there are probably 3 guys that all kind of fit the bill. That I would say between Hamilton and Thibodeau and Stingley really are your kind of the 3 that you could look to do. And again, this is a team that was filled with a lot of this last season filled with a lot of shut off ex-former Browns. So their talent level is not huge. So getting a stud on the defense is probably what they're looking to do. In terms of which way they go, I mean, it could be any one of those.
Is Lovie Smith a 3-4 guy?
Good
I'm
question.
trying to remember. They were a 3-4 team before. I think Thibodeau's more of a traditional 4-3 outside pass rusher.
No, I believe you're right.
Maybe that's why. Maybe go Stingley or Hamilton. What do you like, the safety or the cornerback? George, any thoughts here?
Yeah, they're saying Thibodeau is that 4-3, so you're right on that. So probably more likely they would go with Stingley or Hamilton then.
All right, well, we'll go Hamilton. Preponderance of mock that we're looking at. George doesn't have strong feelings either way.
Yeah, well, and if they're going for best available, honestly, that's the guy that tends to be at the top of most big boards that you see, because he is just an absolute stud.
There he is. Well, tell us about him. They just took him at number 3.
Yeah, number 3, taken out of the University of Notre Dame. Kyle Hamilton at 6'4", 220. Really that rangy, dynamic weapon in the back end of your defense there. Just what you want if you're Lovie Smith here on that spot. So what they talk about is it might just be the best NFL draft prospect. This is Krabs talking about from the Draft Network, talking about the best prospect he's ever personally studied since entering the draft space in 2014. So this is relatively high praise there in terms of like he is really quite good. They rave about his football IQ, talk about his high level athleticism and tackling, huge level of versatility, kind of that weapon you can put anywhere in the backfield, even in the linebacker core if you want, in that kind of that strong safety role, but is also rangy in the backfield, has incredible ball skills and kind of that ball hawking type player, kind of like the more safety version of a JOK is kind of how they're describing this guy. So kind of that missile in the back end of the defense that can really fly all over the field and be just about anywhere at any time. He looks like an absolute stud.
All right, number 4 is the New York Football Jets. Again, they continue to, at least at this point, stay committed to Zach Wilson, which means they need to protect him or get some weapons. I guess I didn't realize, maybe because I don't watch a lot of Jets football, that Mekhi Becton, of course, who they took, a couple of picks before Jedrick Wills 2 years ago, has had some issues keeping his weight down and has really kind of not been good for them. So everybody's mocking another tackle to them. Again, PFF did Evan Neal to them because they had Cross going 1. And then both McShay and Jano Jeremiah have Akeem Ekwonu from NC State there, there's Cross right there as I scroll down the screen, and there is Ekwonu now. And again, keep in mind that this ranking on the screen in front of you is just what Madden had them in there. I tried to do some re-ranking, but sometimes their rankings are a little bit different. So this isn't like best guy, next best guy, next best guy, next best guy, next best guy. That isn't exactly how it works. There's a little bit of variation. So thoughts here, Kit? Obviously, tackle again is what everybody assumes that they need to go. You still got Stingley on the board. You still got Thibodeau on the board as well. Or do you go maybe a Garrett Wilson or an Olave or even a Tyler Linderbaum, the can't-miss center?
Yeah, there's a reason why, just like some of these other teams that have been picked, there's a reason why these guys are up here in the draft order, and that they've got a lot of holes to fill on that roster. So I don't really feel like they could go wrong with any of those picks in terms of filling needs on their offense. But with Becton kind of not doing what they had hoped he would. The offensive tackle may be a bit too tempting, especially with Cross falling to them here. So that very well may be the route they choose to go, especially when and then the question really becomes, how do they want to run their offense? Are they going to look to be more pass protection with that tackle, or are they going to try to continue to run the ball? And if that's the case, they may not go with Cross. He's not as highly touted on his run blocking skills. However, his pass protection is top tier.
Okay. George is in agreement with those things. Well, it is a PFF rated, like, I tweaked the list. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I tweaked the list based on PFF, so maybe they should take the guy that PFF has first overall for offensive tackles.
Yeah, I mean, that would...
Jets here So Charles Cross, he's been rising up the boards. Kit, tell us a little bit more about him. We're going to go Charles Cross here, number 4 overall to the New York Jets.
Yeah, Charles Cross, offensive tackle out of Mississippi State, 6'5", 305. He is, as I already kind of mentioned, he's a little bit raw in the run blocking skills, but is already top tier, top notch in the pass protection skill set. He's only a redshirt sophomore, so he's a little bit raw in terms of being this high in the draft. But that being said, he's got the skill set really to back that up. Obviously, if he's going to this high of a prospect, but pass sets are obviously his best traits, like we already talked about. Does not have the prototypical mass you would expect from an SEC left tackle, but he doesn't allow it to affect him because he makes up for it in his technique in the pass blocking game. His footwork in particular is excellent and balance. So the fact that he's able to do all of that at the kind of the lesser size than you would expect at an offensive tackle out of the SEC speaks well of his ability. He's probably going to need to put on some of that weight if he wants to be better in the run game and potentially, to move guys off the spot.
Sure. All right, up number 5, the New York Giants' new head coach Brian Daboll. Of course, spent some time in Cleveland, most recently the offensive coordinator for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. He gets the number 5 pick. Todd McShay thinks they should go with Kayvon Thibodeau as well as Daniel Jeremiah. Those two have been in lockstep so far. And then PFF had them taking Kyle Hamilton, who is already off of our board. So that would be Stingley is the best available player according to PFF's board here. To me, it feels like the Giants, they spent so much money I lied. Daniel Jeremiah thinks they should go Travon Walker, the edge rusher from Georgia. I was looking at the wrong sheet. I feel like they spent so much money in free agency with Galladay, and I think they're invested in trying to give Daniel Jones another year. So maybe they pick up a real defensive playmaker here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think they absolutely do. I think they're jumping up and down to see Thibodeau drop to them here. Obviously, I think they could go Stingley, but I think Thibodeau is just, is a little bit more proven without that injury history. I suspect they probably would be running that pick in.
All right, sounds good. And they do run the pick in. Kayvon Thibodeau, tell us about him, Kit. 5th pick from Oregon.
Yeah, so he is a junior out of Oregon, 6'5", 258. Former number 1 ESPN 100 players when entering the University of Oregon. And countless honors and awards, including the Morris Trophy and Pac-12 championship game MVP. So the dude's been around and has been a stud for these guys. Really built for a 4-3 system. Needs to add some mass to his frame if he's going to be drafted by a 4-3 system. But he's got some of the best first step explosiveness in this draft, and that's really where he excels. Has very savvy number of pass rush moves available to him, and he's functionally very, very strong. So one of the absolute studs on the D line available in this draft.
All right. Number 6 is supposed to be the Carolina Panthers. If you watched our free agency recap video earlier, the Carolina Panthers were the team that won the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Part of that was 2 first-round picks and another player, because I can only trade a total of 3 things. Actually, I think it was 2 firsts and a second, because I can only trade 3 elements at a time. So this number 6 pick is actually going right back to Houston, just 2 picks later. All the mocks had the Panthers taking offensive line, with Todd McShay having them taking Sauce Gardner, the cornerback, out of Cincinnati. Where does Houston go with their second top 6 pick here, Kit?
So, I think they were eyeing Stingley there with their first pick, and the fact that Stingley is still on the board here, they could wrap up a pair of absolute studs in their secondary, and I think Lovie Smith would be just jumping up for joy if he was able to do this. Picking both Stingley and Hamilton out of this draft would be just a huge win for the Texans.
Yes, it sure would. Well, tell us about Mr. Stingley. They just made the pick.
All right, so hold on, let me pull it up here. So Stingley Jr. out of where'd he go? LSU. 6'1", yeah, 6'1" to 195, and then he's a former 5-star recruit, in the number 1 player in the 2019 recruiting class, and he just had an absolutely baller true freshman year in that national championship year that we all saw him playing in that championship game, where he was just a beast in that back end, or that cornerback position out on the outside. He is he's been a little bit inconsistent due to injuries and some coaching changes as well, which has affected his overall performance over the years. But the fact that he has that on tape is still going to be, getting him drafted very early here that year that he was absolutely studly, and I think he can be that again in the NFL, assuming he can stay away from the injuries. His man coverage skills, they rave about, is some of the best mirroring skills they've seen in recent drafts. Zone coverage skills are great instincts. He's got some ball hawking talent, and his ball skills in particular are some of his best traits. He has the ability to make some very impressive, got those sticky hands out there where he can look like the receiver, going for the ball, coming down with it, with the interceptions. So some really impressive stuff out of him, and you pair him with a safety like Hamilton, and that upgrade on that back end is going to be very noticeable for Houston.
All right. Well, we're right back to the New York Giants. So a lot of teams with multiple early round picks. Of course, this one coming from last year's draft when the Chicago Bears traded up to take, of course, Justin Fields. So they end up with number 7 in addition. Daniel Jeremiah has them taking Drake London, the receiver out of USC. McShay has them taking Charles Cross, so that would be Ekwonu if the next available tackle on the board. And PFF has them taking the center Tyler Linderbaum. Lots of options again for Brian Dable here. I can look through the receivers or look through the linemen. What do you think that they like here? And welcome in Wendell and Applied as well.
Well, this is again, a bit of a tough choice. I'm not really sure which way they would go. It very well could be the first receiver off the board here, though. Would not surprise me.
Yeah. Also, if I don't know how, because it's kind of small on the screens over there on the left side, Kit will be there like the current roster and what each of their starters are rated.
Mm-hmm. I
so
see
like their worst rated starter is their middle linebacker and their defensive tackles. So I don't know if that means a darn thing, and if we start going team need just yet. But offensive side of the ball, it looks like they do have one receiver at a B and one receiver at a C+. I don't even know what those players are off the top of my head. But they also do have a pretty weak center and only one of them. So maybe PFF going Linderbaum here. So,
yeah, I can see that.
It doesn't matter to me. What are you feeling? Obviously we're losing consensus as soon as we start not taking the guys that were earlier in the mocks. So again, players who had been drafted before, we're talking about Sauce Gardner, we're talking about Ekwonu. If we think that offensive line, we'll just have their offensive line rated.
Yeah, they
have some A's, and
who did
they got Andrew Thomas. Yeah, Andrew Thomas they took in the Wills draft. Who did we have them taking before?
Yeah. What was their pick on the first one?
They took I don't even remember now. Number 5. Oh, Thibodeau.
That's right. Okay. So they were on the defensive side already. Although their defense of the two does look like it's a little bit weaker. Looks like they might need that second level. But it probably feels a little bit early to take a linebacker at this point in the draft, unless there's an absolute stud that they like. But
based on their team needs, I would I think Linderbaum might be the pick, and that's what PFF says.
I think Linderbaum may well be the pick here.
Much to the Browns' chagrin, you can see they're a top fit at the bottom of the screen there, but he's going to get drafted by, especially since we moved on from Treader. But Tyler Linderbaum, tell us about him from Iowa.
So Linderbaum out of Iowa, redshirt junior, 6'3", 290, and projects as a high-level starting center at the NFL level. Does not appear as though it has the functional skill to set to be a positionally flexible player, but at the center position, he could be one of the better centers in the league. They're saying that he should start relatively early. His scheme tendencies: wide zone, play action, pass heavy, screen heavy, and then he's not the biggest, but he definitely has leverage to his advantage. He has so he can get underneath guys' pads levels, capable of reaching the 3 technique on outside zone reps. So kind of just like you were mentioning, he's kind of that very mobile lineman that would have been great in a scheme like ours. But there was a highlight of him like step for step with the running back all the way down the field, just blowing people up. It was pretty awesome. Yep. So definitely a guy that we would hope might be around still at 13, but not overly likely that that's going to be the case.
Well, and again, their front office hasn't decided to move on from Hooper just yet. All right, number 8, the Atlanta Falcons. Still think it's a bit early to see our first quarterback, but that's certainly something that they're going to have to lean towards, you would think. Matt Ryan certainly isn't getting any younger. Daniel Jeremiah has them taking Thibodeau, which means that we've missed Trevor Penning, Aquanu, and Trayvon Walker off of his math. McShay has them taking Drake London, the receiver out of USC, and PFS has them taking Thibodeau as well, so that would also be Aquanu if they, in terms of guys who haven't been taken yet. A lot of holes to fill. Again, the Calvin Ridley situation is a little wonky. Where do the Falcons go here? You can see their one starting receiver is a C+ rating, the other starting receiver is a B. In terms of their weakest to strongest positions on offense, defense, similarly, just one middle linebacker as well, and also their best defensive tackle is a D-rated player, or second starter, I guess. They're both of their starters, because the other one's apparently an A, which would be like Grady Jarrett. So where do we want to go here?
Yeah, so this one, is kind of an interesting spot that they're in here. There are definitely some guys that I think they could benefit from, but do they want to go wide receiver in this spot? Again, no wide receivers have come off the board just yet.
Correct.
So they've got their pick of the litter if they do want to go that way, and really kind of help out that situation for Ryan. But I don't know. I'm not sure which way they're going to go here.
Absolutely. Again, you still got Aquanu on the board, who's a top 5 talent, according to some of the mocks. Both their right and their left tackle are B- rated players, so that's, I don't know. I'm not sure what the ratings equate to, so probably going to be an upgrade there, or Penning. So, but again, Gage left in free agency, and we're not really sure. I mean, Ridley's going to play in our sim, but they really don't have anybody else as number 2. Which of these receivers? Again, they've mocked him for Drake London because they said his skill set fits best with Kyle Pitts. So that's really all I know about Drake London.
Yeah, no, I did read a little bit about Drake London, and I do think he would probably fit that system pretty well.
Done. Tell us more about him. He's going there.
All right. Yeah, let me pull him up a second. Where the heck is he? He's in here somewhere. I'll go by position. We're getting down lower into the draft pick, so I'm having to find the guys. All right, so junior out of USC, 6'5", 210 estimated. He is former multi-sport standout, also competed in the basketball team. Skill set is clearly transferred over to the football field. excellent athlete, regards jumping, body control, and agility for a big receiver. He has the potential to be a dominant run blocker because of his size and athleticism, and then also because he's got that length to play with. They see him as a starting outside wide receiver, and his scheme fit is a vertical passing offense. He uses some very creative and nuanced route running, especially has elite separation quickness at the top of the route, and he's a high cut player. Strong hands secure the football, and then and you wouldn't, he's kind of got that big frame, but surprisingly elusive for how large he is. He's got room to work on his release yet, which is why they've got him projected out on the outside. But he is definitely that deep threat potential with the good hands and athleticism, and then can bring some blocking and competitive toughness to your team.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember he was actually on scholarship on the basketball and football teams there at USC.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously dedicated and freakishly athletic. So a good pick there for them. We are at number 9. It did belong to the Denver Broncos. Again, if you watched the free agency video beforehand, the Denver Broncos made the trade to the Green Bay Packers for Aaron Rodgers. They got 2 first-round picks and Teddy Bridgewater in that trade. So number 9 now belongs to the Green Bay Packers. Do we see our first quarterback here, or they feel comfortable with their Teddy Bridgewater, Jordan Love situation? As we look at their team needs, it looks like their biggest need is also middle linebacker. So maybe we see our first defensive player with like a Devin Lloyd off the bench here, our first linebacker, I mean.
Yeah, no, I actually don't think they feel very comfortable at the quarterback position with the Love and Bridgewater scenario going on there. Love had, he's had moments where he looks good, but he has been very inconsistent. So I don't think they're happy with his development where he has gotten to so far. So this might very well be the very first quarterback to come off the board in a spot like this if they're there.
Okay, which one do you like here? Here's the top 5. Again, I wouldn't suggest that they're necessarily in this order, but they're considered the top 5 at least, with first to second round projections. Yeah,
this I think at this point in this draft, or with this kind of a draft where it's not the strongest quarterback draft, this is a little bit more of the what are you projecting for, and then what do you like in a quarterback? There's not like a clear cut. This is the best guy. I don't think out of this draft. So it's a bit subjective. Obviously, the quarterback position is a little bit more so that way. And it's also going to come down to, do they want to take a chance on a guy, like Malik Willis out of Liberty, where it's a little bit less established in terms of he's out of the independence there from Liberty, but he has pretty good high top end potential if he really does develop the way they're hoping he might.
Absolutely. Well, or we could go with their biggest team need, which is that middle linebacker, and Devin Lloyd staring you at the face. All-world middle linebacker. We saw him in that bowl game with Utah, and they still will have a pick in the 20s, and I guarantee you all of those quarterbacks aren't going to be gone in the 20s. So
yep, absolutely.
If we go with the more established middle linebacker here. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about Devin Lloyd, apparently another fit for the Browns. Of course, the Browns only have one active middle linebacker on their roster right now, and that's Jacob Phillips. That's part of the reason. So Devin Lloyd to the Packers. Tell us about him, Kit.
All right, so Devin Lloyd out of Utah, redshirt senior, and yes, we did see him in that bowl game. He was an absolute stud. Fifth-year junior, aligns with the linebacker at the Ute defense. Good athleticism, quickness, agility. The passing game is an area in which he has improved between 2020 and 2021. They initially pegged him as a two-down linebacker, and then really they brought out their opinion of him, or brought up their opinion of him to be more of a three down backer, as that he can both play the run and the passing game with that development. Scheme fit for the 4-3, and really in that middle linebacker role. as you are drafting him for. Excellent tackling ability, great football instincts, reads the ball well, and then competitive toughness is he's got that high competitive toughness, and then and a very high football IQ. And definitely could be the play caller back there, which is what you're looking for out of that middle linebacker, 3-down middle linebacker to anchor your defense in the middle.
All right, the Jets are on the board yet again. This time it's the pick from Seattle, who they when they did the Jamal Adams trade earlier as well. So I think we ended up taking Charles Cross for them. They want offensive linemen.
Right.
This first particular time. McShay's mock has the number 10 pick as Derek Stingley, so obviously he has already gone. Sauce Gardner is still out there in terms of players we already passed, and his Sauce Gardner is the pick for Daniel Jeremiah. And then Drake London, of course, who we just saw, but one pick after Sauce Gardner. So everybody else has Sauce Gardner gone by this point. Their cornerbacks, their two starting cornerbacks are a B- and a C+ rated. This feels like a pretty obvious spot to see Sauce Gardner, who was absolutely electric down for Mr. Fickle in Cincinnati.
Yeah, the other option they've got on the board there as well is Andrew Booth out of Clemson, who's also pretty highly rated in the cornerback room. But Sauce Gardner.
There's three more first-round rated corners in terms of McDuffie, Sauce Gardner, and Booth.
And that's really going to be who do they like out of those cornerbacks the most. I suspect you're probably right. Sauce Gardner is probably would be the pick here if they did not pick up Stingley.
All right, tell us a little bit more about the Thorpe winner from Cincinnati.
So Ahmad Garner, Sauce, junior out of Cincinnati, 6'2", 188 estimated. He is a wiry, 160-pound high school recruit that blossomed into an incredible player for Cincinnati. And obviously, when you go and win the Jim Thorpe Award, there's a reason for it. He projects better to the zone-heavy scheme. However, he has developed reliable man-to-man corner coverage skills, and he's kind of that ability to play to the zone and be kind of all over the field from the spot that he picks in the zone. That's why he's so good in it. Best is an outside corner in a zone-heavy defense, but he's worked on his coverage techniques in the man and is definitely serviceable at least at that role. Excellent speed for the coverage, which you really need in that zone coverage ability, and then he is a very highly touted athlete in terms of his motor and his ball hawking skills, getting to the ball.
Indeed. All right, next up, number 11, the Washington Commanders. Don't ask, I already tried. There's no way for me to edit their name in the game, so they will remain the football team for now in our sim. But they are on the clock. PFF has them taking a linebacker, Devin Lloyd, of course, who's already gone. McShay has them taking Kenny Pickett, the first quarterback out of Pittsburgh, and then Daniel Jeremiah thinks they're going to lose Brandon Scherf, so they had them taking the top guard, but I can tell you that Brandon Scherf did not leave in free agency, so maybe the top guard no longer their biggest need here. Have you been talking to Happy? Now, keep in mind, in our free agency fantasy land, they did land Jimmy G, so Jimmy Garoppolo will be the starting quarterback, at least to start the season, in Washington, again, in our version of the sim. So where do you think Washington goes with this pick?
Oh, man. No, I have not really talked with Happy much about where he wants them to go here on this spot. I do know that he prefers the Washington football team over the Commanders. I can tell you that much. But and actually, apparently, a lot of the fan bases that was starting to grow on him, just being the football team.
Right.
And the Commanders is not well thought of in that fan base, unfortunately for them. So, an interesting spot here. You almost feel like bringing in a quarterback in Garoppolo. You might want to get him a weapon, especially with some of the receivers still on the board here. Maybe you go for a little Ohio State. Double action here on the wide receiver. It could be pretty.
They've got 3. They've got Curtis Samuel too.
Yeah. So three Ohio State weapons there. Could be nasty for Washington. But I don't know. They also have some definite needs on their defense. Their defensive line of a couple years in the past, is not what it was. They had some guys move on and they've kind of fallen off a bit on that D line. So that's another spot that they could go here too.
Yeah, they did have had a lot of injuries. I know, at least on paper, their defensive line still pretty solid, especially obviously on the ends. Again, still looking here is Econ, whoever you say his name, who many people had as a top 5 pick, who's still around.
Yeah. Again,
these are all the players left. McDuffie, Booth with first-round grades. There's Williams. There's Trevor Penning. Burks. They don't need a running back. Leal would be that defensive tackle that you were just talking about. Trevon Walker, of course, who was an absolute rock star at Georgia. Pretty much everybody on that defense was. So those are at least what the game thinks are the for sure first-round picks here. These 12 guys working our way up from Burks.
Yeah.
Any ideas? I'm up for whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know which way they're gonna go. They would go here. I mean, I have no idea.
What's their other guard situation? Brandon Scherf is still there. Was their right guard? No, both their guards are A-rated, so they're fine at guard.
Didn't they have that? I thought they had a weakness at their tackle, though. They may, if Konwu may be a pick here, they'd be interested.
Yeah,
in, right?
they're both. Yeah, let's do it. Let's give them the best available offensive lineman. You can never have enough of good offensive linemen. Ikem Konwu. Talk to him about us, Kit.
All right, so junior out of Atlantic Coast. He is 6'4", 320 estimated. So he had the opportunity to start left tackle in North Carolina as a true freshman in 2019. He quickly developed into one of the most dynamic blockers in the country. Tenacity, size, devastating power at the point of attack, and high football intelligence positions him to be one of the best O-linemen in this draft. The toughness and physicality of his NFL team will immediately be improved with his addition. So that's definitely positive indication for if you're looking to bolster an O-line. And if you like what you've got at the guard position there in Washington, you certainly would be well suited with a high-end tackle to pick up. Creates movement in the run game, or excellent balance in the pass game, and then has the length you need in the tackle position to keep the blockers or the pass rushers off of his body. And then he's got devastating power as well. So he's a very versatile tackle. Looks like he might be one of the best in this draft. And the fact that he was rated at the top 5, there's some reasons for that. So the fact that he dropped this far and goes to Washington here, probably a very, very high value pick for them.
Indeed. Moving on, number 12, the Minnesota Vikings, their new head coach, Kevin O'Connell. And for all everything sounds like they're going to give Cousins another chance to go there. We know about Justin Jefferson. He's really turned into one of the top receivers in the league. Of course, Dalvin Cook and that offensive line. So everybody thinks they're going defense here. 2 of the 3 mocks we're looking at have them going with Trent McDuffie out of Washington. And then the PFS has them taking George Karlaftis as a pass rusher to put opposite of Danielle Hunter. So it seems to be a pretty slam dunk on the defensive side of the ball, Kit. Which one of those do you like?
Yeah, no, I definitely think they would go the defensive side here. Interesting selections on the cornerbacks in particular. Still some out there that I think they'd probably be interested in. Just depends on if they who do they like more between those two. but yeah, I don't know. Either McDuffie or Booth, both of those guys are solid players. Really, just would depend on which one they rated higher on their board.
All right, tell us about him, Trent McDuffie from the Washington Huskies.
All right, so find him here. There he is. All right, so McDuffie out of Washington, 5'11", 195. A very good athlete, very good lateral agility, overall quickness and coverage. Run game, he's an aggressive tackler who seems to enjoy the physical contact aspect of the game. And then he is a presence on the inside and sticking his nose in the run game. So for the scheme fit, he fits any scheme inside or outside with his coverage skills. Excellent man coverage ability. Very effective in the zone. Instincts on full display when he plays in zone coverage, and good awareness when the routes are entering or exiting his zone. He has a high level of football IQ and good closing speed necessary to be a presence on the back end of a defense.
Amen. All right, we have made it, folks. The Browns are on the clock here, number 13. Need your feedback if you are still hanging with us on the chat. Here's the receivers with first-round grades that are left. Wilson, Olave, Jamison Williams, 3 former teammates right there. And, of course, Traylon Burks there, and then Jahan Dotson kind of rounding out that edge. I've heard people talk about edge, although we did re-sign Clowney and Tack, so maybe not as excited about Karlaftis or Ajabu or Drake Jackson, just because, they're not going to play a lot. Same thing with Travon Walker. In terms of our team needs, again, we did move on from Treader, but there's not really another center that I'm excited about. There's not a middle linebacker that I'm excited about. To me, this feels like, which one of these receivers do you want?
Yeah, no, I don't think you go with the only other really huge team need here is the D tackle position, which really there's not anybody worth a 13th overall pick here in that room.
Yes.
So you're looking at wide receiver is really your biggest area of need that you've got the talent that matches your value for pick. And I think, personally, I'd have to go with one of the Ohio State guys. Really, who do you like more between those two? What skill set do you prefer? I think both of them are absolute studs, as we have seen. There's a reason why Jameson Williams had to move on. Because that room was so stacked at Ohio State that he ended up at Alabama instead and became a stud for them. I think I would lean. We've done this already in the past and are going into the future, but I'd have to lean Garrett Wilson here. He's a guy that I have been, chomping at the bit to try to get my hands on for the Browns. In terms of, he's a guy that would be so good in this offense, and he's such a stud.
I agree with you. Sounds like the chat agrees with you as well. So we will walk this pick up. Kit, tell us a little bit about Garrett Wilson.
All right. Well, Garrett Wilson, I don't think our Buckeyes fans in the room need a lot of introduction to him. Mm-hmm. He is an absolute stud, as we saw. Now we will read a little bit about what their scouts say about him here on the NFL Network. So. Obviously, junior out of Ohio State, 6 foot, 192 pounds. They say that he is a dynamic threat with the ball in his hands, offers the kind of run after catch ability that is sure to command a role in the NFL level. He's part of a crowded wide receiver room in Columbus, enjoyed a career year in 2021, projects the best of the NFL game as a slot receiver where his short area agility will afford him room to work and create space, more naturally crafted quick touches for an offense that commands spacing issues with prominent vertical passing attack. Those conditions parallel what Wilson often works with Ohio State that would help him both maximize immediate impact and allow the same creative touches from college to the NFL level. So We saw his route running ability. We saw his hands. He did get plagued by some drops in, kind of the inexplicable drops, but I think that's going to get worked at on the next level, and he'll clean that up. But those are mostly concentration issues, and I think those will quickly go away. He is incredible at creating separation at the top of the route, and he is one of the best overall high IQ football players in the wide receiver room in this draft in terms of his ability to create that separation using his skill set to his advantage.
Love it. Excited to see him in brown and orange. Maybe it'll happen in real life. All right, number 14, the Baltimore Ravens. Usually they are traditionally best player available, which again, we don't know exactly who that is. Right now I'm looking at the left tackles. It feels like they have been plagued with, again, Ronnie Stanley continues to be hurt, and then that right tackle position they ended up with Andrew Villanueva, and he was brutally bad for them. So I don't know if you want to go tackle here for them. You could do another weapon for them. Hollywood Brown is what it is. I mean, it took Bateman pretty high last year as well. Mm-hmm. Best player available right now on the board, at least according to this person's board, is Chris Olave, as much as that would pain me. You got Karlaftis still on the board, Ajabu, Kenyon Green, the guard, Nakobe Dean, the linebacker from Georgia, Booth still out there. I've seen a couple of mocks, I should have read the mocks. All the mocks have them taking cornerbacks, which is weird, since they don't really need cornerbacks, especially since they're all going to be back from injury. And then one of them has taking Linderbaum, who of course is already taken. So, right. Where do you think the Ravens go with this one?
Well, yeah, I do think they try to go best player available, but I don't suspect that's likely to be a wide receiver, considering they just did that last year, and that's not really their MO in terms of they don't tend to go stack a single room like that quite as often. That's also why I don't expect they're going to go with the cornerback either.
What about like Nakobe Dean? He feels like a Raven.
Yeah, I think
real fast, kind of a missile of a linebacker.
Yep, I think that's a lot more likely here.
Yes, the virtual write-up on him, always looking for the massive hit, motor always running hot, known to attract flags. That's funny.
Yeah, they're saying...
And their starting left outside linebacker is a C overall rating. So.
Right.
Their second lowest position according to their draft. So
yep, no, that makes sense. I think that is probably something they would look to do. So Nakobe Dean, a junior out of Georgia, 6 foot 225, and he was the 2021 Butkus Award winner for best linebacker. Very good reactive athlete in regards to quickness and agility. He's kind of that heat-seeking missile type player like we were talking about. He projects well to the will outside linebacker at the NFL level, initially as a sub, but progressing to become a starter, which is something that the defense in particular for the Ravens are known for, kind of that grooming grounds for these studs that come up out of their own system. Very good tackling ability, rarely misses tackles in space or in confined area, known for his uncanny ability to always be around the football. Very, very high level football IQ and great instincts allow him to play very fast and quickly diagnose, run, and pass. He plays with a very high competitive toughness, good value in the passing game, although that is an area that he could certainly work on. Very, very good in the lateral mobility and flexibility, high-level leadership, and which, again, is something that they look for specifically at the Ravens organization. Their prospects comparison happens to be a Raven with Patrick Queen.
There you go. All right. Well, you got the Philadelphia Eagles up for a twofer. The first one comes from Miami. The second one actually comes from Indianapolis. Neither of them are their picks. They have 3 first-round picks this year. McShay has them taking Nakobe Dean with his 15th pick. David Ajabo is the pick for Daniel Jeremiah, and then Jamison Williams is the pick for PFF. So, a twofer here for the Eagles. Let's look at a couple of the options for them in terms of their weaknesses. Again, you have Devontae Smith there, so maybe another weapon for Jalen Hurts as you continue to find out if he is, in fact, what you want to be. It looks like they could use a cornerback, so maybe Booth here. Pass rusher, looks like they could use a pass rusher as well, so Karlaftis or Ajabu could be in play as well. Offensive line, specifically on the interior, other than center, is pretty strong. There's not another center until round 3 with a decent grade, so a lot of teams need centers and middle linebackers, apparently, according to everybody's team needs. So what do you like here for the Eagles? We might as well pick both of their players now.
Yeah, no, so I think they probably go with both the rush, one of the two between Karlaftis and Ajabo, and then Booth. I think they stick on the defensive side for both of these picks. And the fact that those guys, the quarterbacks, there's a fairly significant drop off after Booth, and then for the edge, they're going to get one of the two that they want there in that spot. Happy to have one of them. So,
all right. Do you like Purdue's big man or Michigan's big man, who's 6'5", but a little bit 250? So definitely more of a speed guy. Karlaftis is just a big bruiser.
I want to say, well, I don't know. I think it's really going to depend on how the Eagles see it in terms of what they're looking for in that spot. But I would guess they'd probably go with the Jabo here.
All right, here's the twofer. So tell us a little bit about Ajabu, and then I will go ahead and also draft Andrew Booth.
All right, redshirt sophomore is Ajabo out of Michigan. 6'5", 250 roughly. He is that high-speed edge rush type. Sure to elicit excitement from NFL decision-makers, coaches, given his raw tools and bright flashes of high-level understanding of the game. He is very green, however, still. He didn't play organized football until his junior year of high school, which is part of the reason, ideally, in a 3-4 outside rush linebacker, for long-term designated pass rush specialist initially in a rookie season is what they're saying here. He is tendency for multiple front blitz-heavy schemes with several assignments in the box for rush personnel and base packages. So, yeah, they're basically saying he's got that high motor, quick speed, and quick twitch off the line. He has his biggest room for improvement is going to be in his run defense. And again, the size is part of that.
Absolutely. And Andrew Booth.
Let me switch over there. So for Booth, the NFL Draft Network had, the Draft Network had him as their number 7 overall prospect here. Nice. So he's relatively high on theirs at least. But he is a junior out of Clemson, 6', 200 roughly. Came to Clemson as a 5-star recruit and an academic standout, in case you care about that. He has exciting blend of size, athleticism, instincts, physicality, and ball skills, competitive toughness that gives him the makeup of an impact starter at the next level. He's a fiery competitor on the field and plays with the alpha mentality. So a lot of things that you like to hear from a cornerback and kind of that lockdown type player that can take a best weapon away from an offense. Sticky man coverage corner with loose hips, quick feet, and excellent route anticipation skills. Does well to read root stems and stays connected as the roots elongate. So he's that lockdown kind of prototypical lockdown cornerback, and certainly a guy that looks to do very well at the next level.
All right. Next up on the clock is the Los Angeles Chargers. We made it halfway through the first round. We'll take a stretch break. Thanks for being with us here. Phil Nagy and Kit Nagy for Nagy on Sports, doing our simulated draft. Again, we'll do the first round like this, and then we will just do the Browns picks for the remainder of the draft. Otherwise, we will be here all night, which nobody needs. All right, so the Chargers are on the clock. PFF has them taking Jordan Davis, the first defensive tackle, off the board. McShay actually has the Steelers trading up to take Malik Willis with 17 in his mock. And Daniel Jeremiah has them taking Chris Olave. They did lose I'm pretty sure they lost Mike Williams in free
did.
agency, so
Yep.
they do have a need there. Chris Olave still on the board here.
Yeah, I think that's the obvious pick here for them.
Yeah, it feels pretty obvious as well. Justin Herbert gets real excited about that. Again, we know him pretty well, but tell us a little bit what Draft Network has to say about Chris Olave.
All right, well, he's their number 19 prospect on the board, the number 2 wide receiver on their board, ahead of Garrett Wilson. He is obviously he is a senior, 6'1", 188 pounds. He's one of college football's most refined route runners, true route technician. Olave has illustrated high levels of football IQ. He's the latest product of an Ohio State Buckeyes program that is churning out high-level prospects under the watch of wide receivers coach Brian Hartline, which, that really has, you can talk a lot about how he was the guy that brought, top-tier wide receiver, refinements to Ohio State.
And more coming.
Yep, and more coming, absolutely. And we can remember back to the days when we first heard the name Olave as he is streaking down the sideline with the ball for his first touchdown at the college level. He has been a stalwart of that offense ever since, and he is, just like they say here, an absolute dynamo when it comes to technician and the route running skills, and his tree is amongst the best in the draft. Mm-hmm. Very clean releases and capable of creating an incredible separation, as we have definitely seen, and great at the vertical route running skills.
So smooth. Smooth is the word that describes him. He really is. All right, at 18 we have the Seattle Seahawks. This was supposed to be the New Orleans Saints pick, but as we talked about once again in our free agency recap, Russell Wilson traded to the New Orleans Saints for 2 first-round picks and a stud right tackle, Ryan Ramczyk, which will shore up the offensive line. They did sign Jameis Winston in free agency, so he is at least the day one starter, maybe a quarterback here for the Seahawks, if they should opt to go that route. But obviously plenty of needs for them as they maybe are in the rebuild. It's kind of hard to tell what the Seahawks are doing now. I guess if they trade Russell Wilson, they're in a rebuild.
Definitely rebuild at that point, yeah.
So, again, maybe we see our first. You can see there they have a weakness. A D-rated defensive tackle is one of their starters. So maybe we see our first defensive tackle off the board with a player like DeMarvin Leal or Devontae Wyatt or Jordan Davis. Or even Travis Jones, who had a very good Senior Bowl and is racing up people's boards in the middle. Or do you like him taking one of the QBs just to keep it fun and not have to watch Jameis Winston play in our sim?
I mean, yeah, no, I'm okay with them taking a wide receiver or a quarterback if they feel that is, there's a guy that they think they've got some long-term upside, maybe somebody that they could start or have behind their starter there to then develop into a longer term prospect, kind of like they did in San Francisco. So that may be like a 1 year Jameis Winston kind of tour, followed by a guy that they are hoping to develop into that next, because I think that's probably the high end of this draft in the quarterback is a guy that you hope to develop behind a starter, not anybody that's going to be starting the first year.
No, yeah.
So, in terms of who that is, again, we already talked a little bit about does take a risk on a guy that you develop out of a non-Big Five conference, or do you look to hit one of the guys? Do you like one of the guys that are out of one of the bigger name schools?
I don't have a good feel for what's going on up in Seattle, especially if they move on from Russell Wilson, which I'm not sure how likely that is, but that's what Discord said to do, so that's why we did that move. Well, what the heck? Let's have him take a quarterback.
Sure.
You want him to do Willis? I think it's like 73, 72, 71, 71, 71, I think, are their ratings for whatever so that's worth. Yeah, there's not a huge gap.
So here in the NFL Draft Network, they've got Pickett at their overall 24th, Corral at their overall 34th, Ritter at 42, Howell at 45, and Willis at 53.
Okay. So the same top 5.
Yep.
I mean, Malik Willis is the most Russell Wilson-like, correct?
Yeah. Yes, he is. Yep. They right out the gate, he is one of the most challenging quarterback evaluations I can remember doing in recent years.
Yes. All right. Well, for the sake of time, let's just do it. What the heck? Malik Willis,
do it.
Getting drafted by the Seattle Seahawks. Tell us a little bit about how crazy difficult he is to scout.
So, in terms of physically gifted, he is one of the most gifted they've seen in the draft, bar none. Performance on the field took a bit of a step back from a ball security standpoint, so a little bit of ball security concerns here. Played in an environment with Flames that created some challenges. Often failed to get help from his wide receivers on throws. So, again, it's going to be very hard to judge a quarterback from a team like Liberty when they're not going to have studs around him to make him look good. Scheme tendencies, RPO, quarterback, run-heavy offense features the passing shallow area and vertically down the field. So a little bit of irregularity on his accuracy here with touch passes. And that's really this biggest challenge is his touch passing needs some work. But he's got a good eye and he's got an ability to hit the big play. They say that his athleticism and run ability is next level. So if they can work on his touch in particular and his accuracy, then he may be a real stud at the NFL or in the NFL.
Yeah,
he affords
interesting.
He has a sharp release. They say he's got that slingshot dynamic. But if they can get that kind of the whole thing together, he could be really, really potentially very, very good. He is that kind of a guy that you would try to develop behind, a Jameis Winston to see if you can't get him going and then eventually replace him in a year kind of thing.
All right. Philadelphia up for their third pick of the first round. McShay has them taking Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. Daniel Jeremiah had them taking Garrett Wilson, apparently sliding all the way that far. And PFF had them taking Nakobe Dean, who we have already seen leave the board. So consensus here seems to be another weapon for Mr. Hurts. And you can see there their starting wide receivers are a C+ and then a B. So Devontae Smith must be the B in terms of his rating. So do you go? You pair him with his Alabama teammate?
I think you do here, especially because I don't think many would expect Jamison Williams to drop this far. With a number of other receivers off of the board.
Hurts with Smith and Williams. That's the Alabama trifecta.
Yeah, it would be absolutely wild, but if they can make that work, it could be very dynamic too.
All right, tell us about the former Buckeye. Oh, and Crimson Tide.
Yeah, that too. So he is the number 9 overall prospect per the NFL Draft Net or the Draft Network here. Junior out of Alabama, 6'2", 188 estimated. So Ohio State transfer, as you already mentioned, he transferred because he saw minimal playing time to a absolutely loaded wide receiver room with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, amongst others. He transferred to Alabama and then absolutely blossomed as a wide receiver. Ideal role is a Z or slot where he can use his quickness to get open quickly, and would be ideal for a spread system, aligns in the slot, or runs bench sets where you can get free releases. He's got a very quick twitch ability, which is why he sets for that slot position very well. He quickly snaps off routes underneath, can run routes with tempo, and find soft spots in the zone coverage and sit. On deeper routes, he's very impressive route runner, has the ability to change directions without losing speed, excels at climbing vertically in the safeties and getting great fakes at the top of the route to allow him to consistently get open to vertical routes. So he is an absolute stud, and arguably he's right up there with those other 3. They compare him to Jerry Jeudy here in their draft comparisons, or prospect comparisons.
Gotcha. And he is an absolute burner. We know that for sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right, number 20 on the clock, the Pittsburgh Squealers. Again, as you saw in our free agency recap, they actually made a trade with the Indianapolis Colts. So they do have Carson Wentz and his 73 overall rating. Several mocks have them taking Kenny Pickett, of course, from Pitt. So staying home, much like Hutchinson did with the Lions. One of the other mocks has them taking Bernard Raymond, the next available tackle on the board, who is there. And then again, we already talked about Todd McShay had them trading up even higher to get Malik Willis, who is of course gone. So QB or no QB here for the Squealers.
Quarterback just does not feel like they're kind of a pick in this spot, especially in a not solid quarterback class where you really have to develop a guy. I don't feel it's very likely they're going to go quarterback when they're obviously hoping Wentz is their guy, at least for the short term. So interesting. Obviously, I think the Browns would love if they took a quarterback that didn't pan out, but I don't think that's overly likely.
Their offensive line was putrid.
Yes,
I forgot about Trevor Penning. I mean, Trevor Penning was top 10 in everybody's mocks and hasn't yet gone yet. So maybe we go with Trevor Penning here.
Yep,
that sounds big left tackle out of Northern Iowa.
That sounds a lot more likely what I think they're probably going to do in a spot like that, especially if Penning does drop that far. So about Penning here, he is a tackle out of Northern Iowa, redshirt senior, 6'7", 321 estimated. Lines for left tackle for the Panther offense. Good athlete with good explosion and agility to get out of the perimeter. Run game, he is nasty and physical. He is savage temperament and finishes several plays with the defender on the ground. So he's kind of got that brawler feel, like a teller.
Yeah.
So he's powerful at point attack and gets consistent vertical movement in the run game. However, due to his size and inability to bend extremely well, leverage issues are a slight concern against smaller edge defenders. In the passing game, he has been a dominant player in the Missouri Valley Conference. Bends a little at the waist, which gets him in trouble at times, which obviously is going to be a balance issue. And then guys like Myles Garrett would eat that up. But obviously there's room for improvement in his passing game, but he is a mauler when it comes to the run game.
Absolutely. All right, that takes us to 21. The New England Patriots. Bill Belichick still sitting there with George Karlaftis on the board. This feels like a no-brainer, right? Perfect end for his 3-4. Just eating up the run game. 6'4", 275. I mean, is this? Feels like this is everybody. He's gone on everybody's mocks by this point. So.
Yeah, well, that and the fact that Bill Belichick, there's no way he passes that up with the scheme fit, and the fact that he's dropped this far, it's the perfect really match of both need and best player available. It's really all the things that you would want right there in a perfect pick for the New England Patriots.
All right, well, tell us a little bit more about Big George. They call him the Greek Freak.
Well, then I gotta pull him up. Yeah, the Greek Freak. All right, so out of Purdue, junior, 6'4", 275. Might be the best power rusher in this year's class. This is a prospect who exploded onto the scene during a breakout 2019 freshman season. Since pieced together another tremendous campaign for the Boilermakers 2021. Most impressed with Karlaftis' motor and close quarters combat. Does not appear to play with the ideal length and separation skills in the edge defender, but became quite refined as a puncher and with his shedding techniques to help enable him to win ground and get good knockback at the point of attack. So your prototypical just high motor, bull rush type edge defender that is great in that 3-4 scheme and kind of similar to guys like we have, or similar to a guy that we know very well in Tack McKinley.
All right, number 22, new head coach Josh McDaniels and the Las Vegas Raiders. The mocks are starting to get a little bit split here now. PFS have them taking an edge, McShay has them taking a receiver, and Daniel Jeremiah has them taking a offensive lineman. So sticking with Derek Carr, again, if you watched our free agency, they are the ones who cashed in on Devontae Adams. There's a lot of smoke around that, rejoining his college teammate in Derek Carr. So maybe another weapon here. Obviously, Hunter Renfrow is a real nice piece in the slot. Other thoughts for where the Raiders might go?
Well, it'll be interesting. I think this is going to be the most, or has the potential to be the most non-Raiders pick in recent memory. In fact, the fact that you've now got Josh McDaniels and a different, I don't remember who the new GM is out there.
I'll look it up while you're.
But just for the recent memory, the Raiders had been going with very unusual picks that nobody really saw coming. This might be much more, in line with what you might expect from a pick. A little bit more
it's
settled.
Dave Ziegler, who is the player pro guy at New England. He was a package deal with McDaniels.
Okay, right. So this might feel a little bit more Belichickian or kind of textbook than you would expect from the Raiders, considering who they have there now. So not nearly the edgy, off the wall pick of a guy that's way down your draft board that these Raiders have been known for of late. So yeah, probably going more for best player available, I'd expect here. So they may go for a weapon. Obviously you're seeing a wide receiver there, relatively high on the board.
Burks,
and that may be something that they look to do, considering that they're
pair
looking
them
for a
with
spark.
Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Right.
Let's do it. Why not? Let's go.
Yeah,
Tell us about Traylon Burks.
Number 21 prospect on the Draft Network's big board. He is a junior out of Arkansas, 6'3", 225 estimated. He is former 4-star recruit, the number one player in the state of Arkansas during the 2019 recruiting cycle. 3-year starter with the Razorbacks. Was the number one receiving threat there and led the team in both catches and yards. Lines up as an X slot and in the backfield at times, and their offense allows for the coaching staff to find unique ways, which obviously speaks to his high-level football IQ, because being able to play all those different positions definitely takes some smarts to be able to do it. Is a spot route runner at the Arkansas offense. Doesn't show the ability to make precise cuts, so a little bit work needed on his route running. His hands are easily his best trait, considered a sure-handed receiver. Low drop rate in Arkansas. Very strong hands allows him to secure difficult catches. And then he might have an issue with separation at the NFL level because of his route running skills in particular. And then lines up in the slot for the most of what he was doing. Let's see what else. So he was a high volume player, multiple 10+ touch games. So he's kind of your prototypical get the ball to this guy, get him some production in your offense and build something off of it.
All right. Arizona Cardinals are on the clock. Mocks have them. 2 of the 3 have them taking cornerbacks. 1 of them has them taking an edge rusher because they think they're going to lose Chandler Jones. However, Chandler Jones did re-sign. They actually signed him before we even got to free agency. They re-signed him in the season. So your top corners on there, again, this is their draft board, are Kyrie Petrie, Kobe Bryant McCreary, and Josh Jobe, as well as Kyler Gordon. And then if they decide to go edge, we're looking at Drake Jackson, Jermaine Johnson, who was one of the guys mocked to them. Travon Walker still out there, of course, who was a 4th pick in somebody's thing there. Obviously, he plays the same position as J.J. Watt, so slide him to the other side of the ball, but that could be pretty nasty. And again, remember they've got all those fast, hybrid-y kinds of linebackers as well with Isaiah Simmons and Zaven Collins. What do you think here, corner or edge, based on what other people are feeling?
I think it's more likely they go corner in this spot, only because their edge, at least they've got they've got a little bit more production out of that, and they've got some versatile guys they can put out there, whereas they don't have as much flexibility in their cornerback room.
All right. Well, they just took Kaiir Elam out of Florida. Tell us about Elam.
3-sport star high school where he played football, baseball, track. Nephew of former Baltimore Ravens first-round pick Matt Elam.
Abraham. Oh, Matt Elam. Okay.
Yeah.
There was maybe Elam.
So his father played safety at Notre Dame, enjoyed a 7-year career in the NFL. Let's see. He is best moments man coverage come when he has the opportunity to play in the face of the receivers. So he's kind of that the shuck and run type, physical at the line of scrimmage, and so well suited to zone coverage duties in the NFL. He has length, ball skills, and ability to cue the backfield. He's a little bit of a mixed bag, it sounds like, in his tackling skills, so that's really the biggest knock on him. A little bit lower on the physical and aggressiveness.
Gotcha. All right, number 24, the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. Their mocks have them taking edge rushers, and one of them has them taking Nakobe Dean, who, of course, is long gone at this point. So, not really a linebacker that I feel great about giving them. I don't wish ill will on them at this point. Let's see, their defensive tackle room. Oh, we haven't had a defensive tackle yet off the board. You can see their grades on the defensive tackles. They have a lot of them, but not a lot of depth there. Actually, I guess their other starter is an A at the bottom, so maybe they actually do. Or do you go somewhere on the offense? Again, they did lose Michael Gallup to free agency because he's in the Browns. So you're down one of your playmakers on that side of the ball. If you're looking for best available, people with first-round grades, at least on their board, still is just Kenyon Green, the right guard. They don't really need a right guard. They're not going to get a running back. So maybe it is an end. Where are their ends at? The left end is with both Walker there and Igbar is still there. Actually, maybe what if they do strong safety? They have a weakness there. Jaquan Brisker out of Penn State's the top-rated safety left on the board currently. Or Jahan Dotson, or Ibikiti. All three Penn State players back to back here.
Right.
Potential for them, unless they just can't pass up Trayvon Walker. Again, he was number 4 off some people's boards.
Yeah.
What do we like here for Jerry World?
Yeah, I think they're more likely to go for the edge rush here on this spot.
I think so too.
So
Trayvon Walker it is.
Yeah.
Tell us about Trayvon Walker from that. Yet another player from that Georgia defense, and there will be more called soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. So Trayvon Walker, the number 14 prospect on the big board here for the Draft Network.
Good value.
He is 6'5", 275 estimated junior out of Georgia. Exciting defensive lineman who offers rare athleticism, versatility along the defensive front. Former 5-star recruit and high school basketball star. 3 years at Georgia, he has been a mainstay in that defense the whole time. Very quick first step. And explosive off of the ball, which makes him good in both the run and the pass game because he can get that early penetration off the line, and has good gap discipline. He has very high core functional strength and ability to dominate blockers.
Awesome. 25, Sean McDermott and the Buffalo Bills. One mock has them taking D tackle, one has them taking receiver, one has them taking corner. Here's your top-rated receivers still on the board. Top-rated D tackles, Leal, Wyatt, and Davis. Still all three of them on the board. And corners still have Petrie, but he has a second to third round grade on him. Bryant, Recruiter, Job, Kyler Gordon, all on there as well. Where do you think the Bills go?
What is their defensive side looking like for needs?
Again, I'm not sure why everybody puts middle linebacker. I mean, they got Tremaine Edmonds. They don't have a crappy middle linebacker. This must be some sort of glitch with that because every team has had one middle linebacker at a D, and that's just not real.
No, that's definitely not real. That's weird. And but it's showing their D tackle room is also a D. So, or is that just one of the two?
Yeah, one of them's there, and then the other one's an A.
So why?
They got Ed Oliver, and then they got the other guy.
That's weird. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it is weird. I'm not exactly sure how that works, so that's why I haven't been 100%. But they could definitely. I mean, again, they have Devontae Wyatt as one of the guys, and PFF said it would be an absolute steal.
Yeah. I could definitely see them go with D tackle there.
They definitely have an electric offense, and I don't think much of it left. So, all right, Devontae Wyatt.
All right,
another Georgia defensive lineman.
Yep, a senior out of Georgia, 6'3", 315 estimated. 4-year contributor to the Bulldog Dog defense, improved with each season, and he seemed to put everything together his senior year with a breakout season. Earned him a trip to the Senior Bowl. Excellent athlete inside, displaying quickness, burst to penetrate gaps, disruptive interior rusher with quickness to win edges and shoot gaps. Excellent balance and excellent change of direction and lateral mobility.
Absolutely. Okay. 26, the Tennessee Titans are on the board. You know what? Are these rankings even changing? Are these the Browns rankings? Maybe these are the Browns rankings.
Maybe that must be what it is. It's got
because
to be
I'm
the
logged
Browns.
in. Because they're never changing. And like, I mean, obviously Derrick Henry is an A+, so that one. But it's like I was like, they don't have 2 A- left guards.
Right. Yeah. No, that's got to be.
Maybe
what it
these
is.
are the Browns. These got to be the Browns numbers. All
That's
right.
weird.
Anyway,
that would do
weird.
that when you're switching the coaches. But all right.
Yes. All right. I think the Titans. I think they invest in Kenyon Green because he's got a first-round grade. He's the best guard in the draft.
Yeah, I think that's an easy pick.
That's an easy pick right there. Tell us about Kenyon Green, Kit.
I gotta find it.
Texas
here.
A&M.
Yeah, number 12 on the big board there for the NFL Network. So huge value in this pick. Junior out of Texas A&M, 6'4", 325. Former 5-star recruit out of Texas. Immediate starter for the Aggies. Notched more than 35 starts in his 3-year career. He's an experienced starter. Played multiple positions along the offensive line. Everything but center. He's natural functional strength used to become a true road grinder in the run game. Offense coordinators will find it beneficial to call run plays to follow behind his path. In the pass game, possesses quickness. He uses mirror defenders, becomes a dominant interior pass protector. So very versatile player that certainly, if he doesn't start right away, could be a swing lineman for you there very early in his career.
All right, Tampa Bay is on the board again. Tom Brady has retired in the quarterback roulette that was our virtual offseason. They got left with Josh Rosen. So he's 65 overall, and he is their starter. So any of these 4 guys would start over Josh Rosen. So who makes the most sense in Tampa Bay if they're going to start over with a quarterback?
Oh, man. Well,
Who's the highest rated guy on Draft Network?
Pickett is their number 1.
Pickett?
Yep. So and yeah, I do think that this is the team that's most likely. If they don't actually trade for somebody, they're the most likely to actually draft a quarterback in this position.
Mm-hmm.
So
you still got Mike Williams there to welcome him.
Yeah, Pickett, quarterback out of Pittsburgh, is who they had number 1 on their quarterback room.
Well, he's going to be there now. Tell us about him.
All right, so he is a redshirt senior out of Pittsburgh, 6'2", 225, an experienced and accomplished quarterback that had a meteoric rise in 2021. He elevated his draft stock significantly along the way. 4-year starter. He is leaving the school as their all-time passing leader, and rewrote the record books there in Pittsburgh. Good size, mobility, accuracy, poise, toughness, and leadership on the table. He's a terrific vertical passer and can work off script to make things happen with his legs. Terrific command and confidence running the offense. Does a wonderful job blending an aggressive mentality with consistently working his progressions and generally making good decisions with the ball.
Right. And back up for the Packers for their second pick. And again, we talked about quarterbacks would be available there. Actually, only 3 of the 5 are left. So let's go ahead and give them one, and maybe he'll usurp Teddy Bridgewater over the course of the season. You said Matt Corral's the next one on your list?
That's the next one on this list, yep.
All right. Matt Corral, headed to play with Matt LaFleur.
All right. So
Tell us about Matt Corral.
Out of Ole Miss, he is a redshirt junior, 6'1", 205 estimated. He's 4th year playing and pulling the trigger for the Rebel offense. Shows good athleticism and maneuvering outside of the pocket. Run game, he can convert critical 3rd downs with his legs, but clearly wants to deliver it from the pocket if he can. Did a much better job in 2021 of discerning when to use his legs. Defenses must account for him in the zone read aspect of the game. Demonstrates the ability to pull it from the mesh and threaten the defense. A passing game, he's highly effective, productive in the Ole Miss offense. He led a high-powered Rebel offense in 2021 while completing 68% of his passes en route to throwing for 3,333 yards and 20 touchdowns.
There you go. Number 29, the Miami Dolphins are on the clock. This is the pick that they got from the 49ers. It belongs to the 49ers. It mocks with them taking a receiver, a tackle, and a tackle. So maybe offensive line here protecting Tua. Guys who are still available, Nick Petit-Frere out of Ohio State, and Bernard Raymond, who's the only one who has a 1 next to his name at all with a 1-2 rating. So let's talk about Bernard Raymond. He's going to be the right tackle of the Miami Dolphins.
All right, so he is senior out of Central Michigan, 6'7", 305 estimated. Impressive developmental prospect. All the physical tools needed to become a plus starting offensive tackle in the NFL. International player who is originally from Austria, came to Central Michigan initially as a tight end while also lettering in wrestling and track and field. He uses those tools in his football game. He spent the first 2 years as a tight end with 20 receptions, 64 yards in 2018-2019 before stacking on weight, converting to play tackle. So definitely raw, a long way to go, but he's got a high upside.
Absolutely, he does. All right, the Chiefs are on the clock again. A field goal at the end of the game away from another Super Bowl. What are they going to need to get them back here? They did lose Pringle in free agency. Some of the mocks have them taking Jahan Dotson. Some of them have it taking a cornerback. And one of them has them taking safety Dax Hill out of Michigan. So which way do you think that Andy Reid goes here? Keep bolstering the offense or keep building up that defense?
You know, I think they need to work on their defense the most. I mean, the offense, obviously, it you know, when it's on, it's on. And, you know, they have the weapons. They have what they need there. They've got it all mostly under contract. You know, I think they're going to go defensive here. And then really best player available for the defense.
Okay, best player available for the defense. So there's Drake Jackson as an edge rusher. And again, their edge rushers were Melvin Ingram and, blanking out his name, Frank Clark, who are pretty elderly.
Yeah, they're both kind of old. That feels like young blood in that room is probably a good way to go here.
All right, so you like Drake Jackson?
Yeah,
actually, Jermaine Johnson has some first-round grades on him too.
Jermaine Johnson. Yeah, I was going to say Jermaine Johnson is the number 8 here. Edge rusher.
Oh, well, there you go.
The NFL.
You rushed that to the pick then. Tell us about Jermaine Johnson. He's going to be rushing the passer in Kansas City.
Yeah, so number 8 per the Draft Network on their big board, but redshirt senior out of Florida State, 6'5", 265 estimated. He was a 4-star recruit. Began his career at the JUCO ranks when he played in 2017-18 before transferring to Georgia for the 2019-2020 season and finishing his career at Florida State in 2021. After flashing at Georgia in the rotational role, he became one of the most impactful defensive playmakers in the nation with Florida State in 2021. Watching the Seminoles defense in 2021, it was abundantly clear that Johnson was the best player on the field, and he made an impact every week and in the most critical points of the game. So it sounds like he's just a dynamic weapon on that line that makes the critical plays when you need him to. Terrific length, variety of rush moves, takes good angles, relentlessly pursues the quarterback, and then in the run game, exceptional processor, stout at the point of attack, understands how to respond to blocking schemes, effectively stacks and shed blocks, and is a consistent finisher. Very few limitations to his game.
Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock, of course. Unfortunately, none of the first-round graded offensive linemen are left. Could they take a reach on one of these guys? This Tyler Smith guy has risen up draft boards, can play guard or tackle. Darian Kennard here is another guy who can play the guard or tackle position according to the PFF folks. They have linebacker weaknesses. You could still go with Ebiketie out of Penn State. Christian Harris out of Michigan, or one of these guys. Benito, Beavers, or Clark, I think, are all similarly rated. Jalen Petrie still available. McCreary, Kobe Bryant, some of your top-end corners. There's Daxton Hill. He's still got a first-round grade. Louis Cine. Of course, they do have Jesse Bates, who's the best free safety in the game. And they still have Von Bell as well. So where do you think they – I mean, it's got to be offensive line, right?
It has to be. That is the difference in that game, honestly. Their O-line could have won them that game if they had a better line. So
I feel like they
have to.
Let's get this Darian Kennard guy. He's from Kentucky, and I think he's still like a decently high-rated player, if I remember correctly from editing him.
Yeah, they had him as the number 62 overall pick on their big board.
Okay, so not a great choice apparently.
But yeah, he's well, I mean, that's just according to them. I don't know how accurate that is or not. But senior from Kentucky, 6'5", 345. Projects best as a guard at the NFL level, kind of functional power necessary to be a tremendous asset in the ground game. Plays right tackle throughout the course of his tenure in Kentucky, and then does appear to have the necessary measurables to continue playing on the outside of the NFL, but they believe best suited to the inside, given tight angles and alignments.
Which they need guard help. I mean, their right guard situation was abysmal, just like their right tackle was. So.
Yeah, so having a guy that has the potential to play on the outside also could be valuable for them. I think that's probably a possible for them, something that they could look to do.
And last but not least, Detroit, of course, with this pick they got from the Rams for Matthew Stafford. Do they replace Goff here with this pick?
Well, that would be humorous if they did, especially out of this draft. Yeah, I mean, they could.
Do it. Is Howell or Ritter the next one?
Ritter is the next one on there.
Desmond Ritter, there you go. He's going to be in Detroit. He's going to get a chance to play right away. Good running game.
Yeah. Yep.
Tell us about Desmond Ritter. That'll wrap up the first round.
All right, senior out of Cincinnati, 6'4", 215. Accomplished quarterback. Big reason why the Bearcats have been such a prominent program on the scene and site, not playing in the Power 5. Enters the NFL after 4 seasons of starting experience, which certainly helps. He's battle-tested, tough, demonstrated steady growth, improved it every season, forecasted at the next level, checks all the boxes in terms of size, arm talents, mobility, and experience. He's got access to the entire field with his arm talent, exceptional runner, showcases outstanding vision, athleticism, and the ability to break tackles as a dual threat weapon.
There you go. All right, don't adjust that dial. It is time for the second round, which does happen to actually start with the Cleveland Browns, believe it or not. You told me to try to trade Austin Hooper for a second-round pick, and the Jaguars gobbled that second-round pick right up. So we actually have this next pick here, the first one of the second round. And those are our actual team needs there on the left side. So where do you think the Browns here go with their next pick here, Kit? And we've got some feedback coming from the folks on the Discord the chat. Here's the remaining players. DeMarvin Leal, again, one of the top defensive tackles.
Yeah, I think D-tackle is the obvious pick here.
I mean, I know we shored that up in free agency, but they're not going to be here. Calais Campbell's not going to be here for more than a year.
Right, they're going to look to build behind that also, and having some young, fresh blood also adds to your rotational talent in that room. I think D-tackle, especially because some of these guys, were projected to go a little bit earlier than this. So having them still around, I think they jump at this chance.
Jordan Davis or DeMarvin Leal? What's your thing have higher?
They've got Leal just ahead of Davis. They've got Davis as the 25 overall and 32 overall for Davis.
All right. So they're getting a 25th player with the 33rd pick. And then, all right. I love it. DeMarvin Leal, right? You said he was the higher one?
Yep. And Leal was is a junior out of Texas A&M, 6'4", 290 estimated, former 5-star prospect out of Texas.
Yeah.
Was the first big recruiting to get in the Jimbo Fisher era, served as a pillar of much improved defensive line. Started all 3 years at Texas A&M as a prospect, possesses rare size, athleticism, and functional strength that makes him a dominant and versatile defensive lineman.
Nice.
He lines up in every alignment, is impactful at every position, has the power to collapse pockets from the interior, and speed to be an effective edge rusher. In the NFL, he will be best utilized as an interior defensive lineman who can overwhelm offensive linemen with his ability to convert speed to power. Rare athleticism, will become a physically dominant defensive lineman once he is placed in one specific role.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to very quickly now simulate through these picks until we get to the next Browns one. So thank you for your help and your input on some of those. Fun. Looks like you guys have been chatting about other Browns things as well, which is awesome. Kit, thanks for doing that. You'll only have to do that for the Browns players now. So Lions are up next here, and they are going to go with Jaquan Brisker, the strong safety out of Penn State. New York Giants are up next, and they're going to go with Sam Howell. So there you go, Daniel Jones. You've been put on notice. Houston Texans, they're going to go with Trey McBride. He is the top tight end in this draft. Interesting choice for them, but they go with the draft. For the Jets, they're going to go Jahan Dotson, so another weapon for Zach Wilson there in New York. Right after that, another pick for the Jets, and they're going to go Jalen Weidermeyer, the second tight end off the board in 3 picks. He is the second-rated tight end according to PFF as well. For the Chicago Bears, their first chance to pick, and they're going to go with Ebikite, the edge rushing outside linebacker type from Penn State University. I don't like that pick. They needed weapons for Justin Fields. Daxton Hill, we talked about him a little bit earlier, is going to go to the Broncos, their first chance to pick, again, after getting Aaron Rodgers in that trade. Falcons on the clock next, and they're going to go with Damon Clark, the outside linebacker from LSU. Here comes Drake Jackson. Good pick there for the Seattle Seahawks, edge rusher there, which will provide some spark for Pete Carroll's defense. Washington on the clock. They're going to take another pass rushing edge who had first-round grades on him, Kingsley Enegbar. And so I guess it doesn't matter that you have a lot of good defensive linemen. You can take another one, get him in there on rotation. Vikings are going to take Kenneth Walker. That makes 0 sense.
Wow.
With Dalvin Cook.
Wow.
That they would take Kenneth Walker, who is the best running back in the class, but still, I don't get that at all.
No.
All right. Baltimore is on the clock now, and they're going to take Cameron Thomas, one of a kind of a first, second round grade pass rusher out of San Diego State. Browns are on the clock again here with the 14th pick in the second round. What should we be looking for here, folks, and or Kit, who are paying attention? Here is the, again, what they say people have. I don't think Tyler Shuff should have a first round grade. Darian Beavers. So this is an opportunity maybe for some linebacker, some safety depth. Lewis Seen out of Georgia there. Myjai Sanders has been mocked here a lot. An edge rusher out of Cincinnati would obviously be depth at this point. Again, this is just who the game has kind of next. We don't really need corners. Offensive line depth, more linebacker depth. What do you like here?
Well,
what about like the guy from this safety from Georgia? He's pretty good, right? And then Browns are going to be running a lot of 3 safety looks.
Yeah,
and right now that's JJ3, Delpit, and MJ Stewart.
Right, and Seen is the number. Hold on, just tapped out of it. The number 75 overall on their prospect on their big board. So yeah, I could see that.
Well, I'll tell you what. Is Nick Benito or Darian Beavers significantly higher than he is?
On the safety board?
On the on their overall board.
Yeah, sorry.
I guess I can pull it up now. I don't need to look at these mocks.
Beavers, they've got 64. And then
Benito.
Why is he not showing up on this list?
He may be under edges if they...
Oh, that's probably what it is, yeah.
He's like an edge rusher, linebacker.
They've got him at 63.
So both those guys are a little higher, yeah.
But
what do you like?
Yeah, again,
That's where I would go one of those guys if it were me.
Yeah.
PFF has seen as their 36th overall player, for whatever that's worth. He's the second safety behind Kyle Hamilton on their entire board.
Huh.
As opposed to, what did I say, Beavers.
I think in terms of need, you probably need the safety more than you need the linebacker.
Beavers is 71 on PFF. So, all right, Lewis Cine it is. Tell us about Lewis Cine out of Georgia, Kit.
All right. He is... Let's see, pull him up again. So, he is a junior out of Georgia, 6'1", 200 estimated. Third-year junior aligned as the single high middle field defender, also aligned in the split safety looks. Good athlete with good straight line speed, agility, and range of motion. In the passing game, his versatility is his strongest attribute, which is exactly what the Browns would be looking for.
Yes.
He has moments of dropping down in the slot and playing in the overhang. He could afford to make more plays in the passing game, has left plays on the field in this regard. In the run game, he is a violent physical hitter. He comes downhill with authority and demonstrates physical toughness in the run as a run defender. Aggressively runs the alley and shows up with physicality. He has been hit with targeting penalties in the past, but he's been better in this aspect in 2021. Passing downs, he may be the best suited to playing as a linebacker in sub packages where he can use his athleticism to blitz and affect the passer. So he sounds like just our kind of guy.
Yeah, let's take him. Love it.
I like that a lot, and certainly somebody you would look for the Browns potentially to be looking at.
All right. Next up will be the Chargers. They're going to go with Jordan Davis. Just Georgia defenders all over this draft.
Yeah. Well, their defense was awfully good.
Yes. Dolphins are going to go with Christian Harris, linebacker out of Alabama. There's Beavers. He goes to the Colts, who need linebacker help. Again, they re-signed Anthony Walker in our simulated offseason. Saints going to go with defensive tackle Robert Cooper out of Florida State. There's Travis Jones, the defensive tackle who's risen up the boards after a strong Senior Bowl performance to the Eagles. Steelers on the clock again. They're going to go with Perry and Winfrey. So a run on defensive tackles here now in the middle of the second round. Here comes Kobe Bryant, who's Sauce Gardner's partner in crime in that backfield defensively for Cincinnati. He's going to go to the Patriots. Next up is Jamari Sawyer, another offensive lineman from Georgia, can play guard, can play tackle. He goes to Vegas. Cardinals are going to take another right tackle here, Daniel Falele out of Minnesota. This dude's like 6'10". He's a giant, and I think he was 400 pounds, like legitimately a giant human being playing right tackle for the Golden Gophers. He's going to go to Arizona. Breece Hall, the second running back. Again, I don't understand these teams taking running backs.
No.
You do not need a running back, but Breece Hall is a good one, and he's going to go to the Cowboys. Bills up next, and the Bills are going to take Jalen Petrie, a corner out of Baylor. Next up, a guard from Boston College going to the Buccaneers to protect their new quarterback, which was Kenny Pickett, I think, who they took. Them. Roger McCreary, a corner out of Auburn, to the Falcons. Packers are going to go with Nick Bonito, strengthening further that pass rush with the Smith brothers. Nick Petit-Frere, another Ohio State Buckeye to the 49ers. We know they like them. He's going to get a chance to learn from Trent Williams and or play right tackle for the Niners this year. Brennan Smith, a linebacker from Penn State, goes to the Chiefs. The Bengals are going to take Josh Jobe, a cornerback out of Alabama. Again, they lost a few of their corners in free agency. That's a pretty good pick for them. The Rams with their first pick of this draft, and they're going to go with middle linebacker Brian Asamoah out of Oklahoma, who is an athletic freak at that middle linebacker position. We're into round 3. Damon Pierce, running back. Again, another team that doesn't need a running back. To the Jags. Tyler Smith, that up the draft board riser, that's a good pick there for the Lions. He had some first round draft pick. There's Thayer Munford, go Bucks, to the New York Giants. Jackson Kirkland, left tackle out of Washington. It's funny that his last name is Kirkland. He's going to the Texans. Speaking of, Costco. All right. Here is, oh my gosh, Ula Fasheo, also out of Washington, middle linebacker, going to the Jets. Zion Nelson, left tackle out of Miami, going to the Panthers, who can use some offensive line help for Deshaun Watson, of course. Owen Pappoe, linebacker from Auburn, goes to the Bears. That's a very Bears-like pick. John Mechie, another Alabama receiver to go along with Jerry Jeudy out there in Alabama. They're going to have some weapons for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. All right, third round is up, and that means the Browns are back. Oh, shoot. I forgot. I simmed it. Well, we just took George Pickens, another wide receiver. Kit, tell us about George Pickens. It was totally my bad.
That's all right. Well, honestly, in terms of like what you're going to look to pick here, a wide receiver is not a bad option. Number 55 overall prospect on the big board here and it is a very, very deep wide receiver draft class. So with how much we struggled with wide receivers, I'm okay with that pick. Let's be fair. He's out of Georgia.
Yeah, another Georgia player.
Yeah, another Georgia player, junior, 6'3", 200 estimated. Very good athlete with good downfield speed, agility, and body control in the run game. He doesn't provide much in terms of stock blocking due to his wiry frame. So he can be out physical by stronger DBs who are defending the run. It's in the passing game where he excels. He is sudden off the line of scrimmage and quickly closes the DB's cushions. He is fluid and shows good body control as a route runner, easily attacking leverage against man coverage. He has a very good catch radius and shows tremendous athleticism to contort his body and make difficult catches on off-target throws. He is a natural hands catcher with strong mitts, easily catches the ball away from his body. Matchup problem for the slant fade situations, can defeat press with quick foot quickness, but will need to add body mass and bulk and upper body strength.
Yeah, I like 6'3", though. I like a red zone target for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with that big catch radius and the route running skills.
Sorry about that, folks. I didn't mean to sim it. Seahawks are going to go with Tyler Algier from BYU. The Washington football team / Commanders will take Zach Carter, edge rusher out of Florida. Another edge rusher for the football team. Here's another right tackle now to the Vikings. Obina Ease out of TCU. All right. Kyler Gordon, another good corner there going to. And the Browns are on the clock again. I'm not going to skip it again. This is the third round compensatory pick. I actually just, when I got rid of Jarvis Landry, I made a trade for the third round pick so we could get another third round pick for the Kwesi move. So we're on the clock again. I won't sim it this time. Where are we going this time?
All right, so we've got two wide receivers, a D tackle, and who's our other pick? What am I forgetting?
We just have the three.
Oh yeah, it's just three. Okay, yeah, you're right. So the two wide
receivers and Leal.
Yep. So, no, we have the free safety. That's right. We have.
And Scene. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. So I was like, I swear there was a fourth one.
Yes, you're right.
So we've done most of our shopping in terms of what we really needed to have. The positions of need on our roster have been mostly addressed outside of special teams for kicking and punting, but obviously you're not going there here.
Yeah, we're not going there in the third round.
So really now you're looking at where can you get rotational depth? Do you look at an edge rusher? Do you look at offensive line? Do you look at another weapon somewhere, either on the defense in the defense secondary or on the offense for one of those hybrid type players? So kind of again, and really the biggest thing here is probably going to be going for what can you get for the best value here for best player available.
Gotcha. Well, of those things that you said, it looks like Myjai Sanders is still on the board with a second round projection, edge rusher out of Cincinnati. So I love that option. Obviously, Clowney's not going to be there forever.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about Myjai Sanders.
Yeah, number 51 on the big board here for the NFL Network. He is a senior out of Cincinnati, 6'5", 255 estimated, 3-star recruit. He was ranked as the number 56 defensive edge, number 151 in Florida. Sanders was a two-sport athlete, semifinalist for the Benedrick Award. He entered the season on the Bronco Nagurski watch. Known for his explosive first step and ability to jump the snap, he combines his first step with long arms to maneuver around opposing offensive tackles. He is effective on twist games and stunts. Improvement holding up against the run is needed. There are rumors of his weight fluctuating between 230 and 255. The latter would be the beneficial. Ideally, 4-3 weak side end. So he would fit pretty well into our scheme. Obviously, you'd want him as a rotational piece, but somebody that you could potentially develop into a more of a starting role down the road if he blossoms the way you would hope.
Indeed. All right. I've just been simming ahead here. Browns are on the clock again. Here's our 4th round selection. I don't know why we have 2 picks. Must have been some trade. We have 2 picks in the 4th here. So, same kind of things here. A couple of corners. There's a left tackle with a 3rd round grade. There's another edge with a 3rd round grade. Middle linebacker there out of Wisconsin. Some other receivers. Another safety. Any of these names jumping off the page at you?
This might be a spot where they look for yes, they've got a great cornerback room, but you certainly can't have enough guys in that room. And there are some relatively higher cornerbacks it looked like that were rated on that board that I saw.
Yeah, this Waller character.
Let's see where he is on here.
Jermaine Waller.
Oh, he's way down. Okay, so maybe not him. He's like 216.
Yeah, no, these are pretty. We're pretty.
Okay, I think you must have been in the
room.
you must have been in the cornerback, or specifically looking at the quarterback room when I saw that. Let's see who else is available. What's your overall? What do you have on the overall just available list?
The overall available list. This quarterback from Texas Tech, another edge rusher, left tackle, another quarterback, linebacker, another couple receivers.
Tackle
safeties.
may not be a bad way to go. Who was that on the tackle?
Max Mitchell out of Louisiana.
Tackle Mitchell. He's the number 107 prospect on the big board.
All right. I love it. He's ours.
Do it. Oh, hey, the scheme fit. Zone run blocking scheme. Excels in pass protection in any scheme. I like it already.
There you go.
So he is a senior out of Louisiana, 6'6", 300 pounds, former 2-star recruit. Started more than 40 games following his junior year, named to the All-Sun Belt second team. Although he plays at a smaller school, he has what it takes to compete in a higher level. He played well against Power 5 teams. Athletic tackle and get great depth on the pass set, beat defenders to the point. Also has good lateral movement and can mirror pass rushers when they attempt to counter moves and change directions. Good lower lateral movement and ability to redirect. Lacks a little bit on the upper body strength, which affects his ability to quickly anchor against defenders who are attempting to convert speed to power. Shows athletic traits that translate to the NFL, but his success will be determined by his ability to gain upper body strength and not only be able to effectively block speed rushers, but also rushers who have an element of power to their game. So there you go.
All right, Browns are up again. How about tight end here?
Yeah, no, I do like a tight end pick, certainly. Tight end is a position I do expect they're going to draft at some point. If they could get their hands like on a Ruckert or somebody like that, it would really fit. No, I know, not here. I just meant like the draft in general. That's a guy that would fit really well into their scheme. Is really more what I was saying.
Well, I'm gonna take Derek Deese because he's the only available draftable tight end at this point. So tell me about Derek Deese.
Find him on
from San Jose State.
Deese, right?
Yep, D-E-S-E.
Not
D-E-E-S-E.
listed.
Uh-oh. He's 147 on PFF's ranking.
Yeah, he's not on here on their list of tight ends. Unless they have him as a wide receiver, I guess it's possible.
6'4", 235.
I suppose it's possible. Let's take a look. Yeah, they don't even have him.
Womp womp.
Sir, not listed on this film.
Classic.
Or does not appear in the film.
Ravens took Haskell Garrett right before we drafted too.
Oh no.
Whoop. Gosh, I just simmed another pick for. I'm not paying attention as well.
Another wide receiver.
Another wide receiver. Zay Flowers from Boston College. We got one more pick left. I won't skip it.
Tell
me about Zay Flowers.
Yeah, let's find out about him. Where's he at?
It is a deep draft for.
It is.
Receivers.
I am not seeing him either. Nope, he's not on this list either.
What did I say? Zay Flowers.
Mm-hmm.
He is not on this list either. Must have been another artificially high-rated guy in this whatever draft class that I started building from.
Yep, they don't have him.
Oh well, he's probably going to be on the practice squad anyway at this point.
Yep.
Alright, we're getting there. Thanks for hanging out with us. Still got 3 people watching on the stream. You guys are the best. Christian Watson, he's been racing up the draft boards. He's going to go in the 5th round here to the Cowboys. James Skalski, the middle linebacker who speared Justin Fields.
Yeah, remember that.
Yusef Corker, another safety, going to Storm Duck. It's got a great name. He's going to the Rams. Bubba Bolden. He was Tate Martell's high school teammate at Bishop Gorman. There's Ellis Brooks. Apparently a duplicate Cam Thomas. My bad. Get deep down. There's Amir White from Georgia. Another player from Georgia. There's Tyreek Smith from the Buckeyes. All right. Our last pick of the night. Middle of the 6th round. Who do we want here?
Well, obviously not a wide receiver. I think we got enough of those.
No, let's not do a wide receiver.
We've got a cornerback already, right? And then a free safety, a tackle.
We have not drafted any corners.
Oh no, that's right. We looked at corner, but we didn't actually draft one.
We did. That's correct.
They might take a flyer on a guy like that for rotational. Yeah. I mean, if there's one that's reasonably value left on the board.
All right, well, look at here. We got Marcus Jones, Mullen, Stevenson.
Hey, Marcus Jones is the number 88 prospect on this list.
There you go. Let's take Marcus Jones. Bam. Tell us about Marcus Jones, Kit.
He's a senior from Houston, 5'8", 185, 3-star recruit out of Alabama. Initially played his college ball at Troy before transferring to Houston. He's simply put is a playmaker. Tremendous athlete with exceptional quickness, elite speed, and fluid hips. I like the sound of that. Traits shine in man coverage, where he's sticky and capable of pattern matching any receiver while having the speed to carry any receiver down the field. Extremely physical player that is aggressive and competes well above his weight class. Sounds great to me.
All right, love him. All right, so that is it. Thanks so much for hanging with us. Again, we'll quickly go through. Now we'll actually get to see what their ratings. So here were the Browns players. They took Garrett Wilson. He's going to come in as a 77. Leal's going to come in as a 77. Seen's going to come in as a 73. 75 for George Pickens. Myjai Sanders at a 69. 68 for Max Mitchell, the tackle. Deese is a 70. Flowers is a 70. And Jones at a 68. So that was the haul that we ended with here for Nagy on Sports. If you want to take a quick look at the overalls, Evan Neal was a 78, Hutchinson 79, Kyle Hamilton 81 out of the box, 79 for Charles Cross. There's Thibodeau at 82, Stingley at 81. Wow, so Thibodeau is the highest rated player in the draft at 82. There was Linderbaum, Drake London. There's Lloyd, nice pickup there at 79, 78, 78. So pretty consistent. Ajabo only a 74. That's a little bit of what feels like a reach now that we know what his rating is. Willis is 71. A lot of 77s. There's Pickett at 71. Corral at 72. Jermaine Johnson. There's Kennard. Oh, so the Bengals right guard's a 76. That's not bad at all. So I'll scroll through a few more of these if you're curious where some guys are. Guys that you might have been like interested in. Potentially a lot of mid-70s, lower 70s. Deep draft, though. I mean, you're still getting... There's another 76. Who was that? This Jackson Kirkland fellow. Oh, the Kirkland, Washington guy. Myjai Sanders. Justin Ross. Yeah, we're well into the third round here now, and we got guys in the 70s still. These guys are all going to make NFL teams. There's Bailey Zapp, a quarterback at 71. Tyler Schuff, ooh, not well rated. So, all right, if you're curious about what your particular team had, you can always drop a comment in there. Again, Kit and I will address the kicking and punting situation in the... Can we do that now? In the undrafted rookie free agency? I cannot do it right now. So we'll do that another time. We appreciate you being on with us. This was a long one. Kid, anything else to wrap this virtual draft up for us?
No, I think we've said enough on this one. It was fun, though, and enjoyed spending time with Nagy Nation as we went through a virtual draft.
That's right, which means the next thing that's coming is virtual preseason. We'll be finalizing a roster and getting a good new look at this Browns team and what the league looks like here as we play a little bit of make-believe heading into the future. So look for those preseason games to start even this week, if at all possible. So for Kid on the left coast, Phil here in Central Ohio, we are Nagy on Sports. Appreciate George for being on the chat, helping moderate during those question and answer times as well. You guys are the best. Take care of yourselves. Have an awesome day. And as always, go